Hey, folks. How we doing? It's Dave Bidini here. You probably know that already. We're going to talk about lots of good stuff, so stay tuned.
What up, Mike? Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get a city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get a city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get a city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1847 of Toronto Mic'd, an award-winning podcast proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery. Order online at greatlakesbeer.com for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Visit palmapasta.com for more. Fusion Corp's own Nick Ioannis. He's the host of Building Toronto's Skyline and Building Success, two podcasts that you ought to listen to. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. And Ridley Funeral Home. Pillars of the community since 1921. Joining me today, making his return to Toronto Mic'd, it's Dave Bidini. Welcome back to Etobicoke.
Oh, always nice to return to the homeland.
Would you mind, off the very top here,
Yeah.
Dave, like shout out some of the neighborhoods or streets or just some of the Etobicoke stuff that used to be your haunting grounds that maybe bring you some pangs of nostalgia when you think back?
I had nostalgia when the Leafs were going to have their outdoor practice at Westway Rink, which they canceled because of the weather. But I grew up playing on that pond, Dixon Grove.
Yes.
Middle school, Westway Plaza, Ken Jones music. That's where I learned how to play guitar, or not. How to not play guitar.
Depends who you ask.
Yeah, and I drive by and I do have the pangs of nostalgia, but listen, great place to grow up until age 13, and then great place to get the hell out of.
I always tell you this when you drop by. Love seeing you. Love encountering you in the wild. We'll get into some of that, but I love the Ballad of Wayne Gretzky video where you get to see the old mill donuts. I was going to say the old mill donuts, but yeah, there's some like old haunts. I went to high school at Michael Power in the original location, and that whole stretch there of Dundas, and then straight from Islington, and then it's weird. It goes like to Bloor, and there's that weird where Jerry Howarth Way is the KIP they're calling it now. Do you know this? They're calling it the KIP district.
Nope, didn't know that.
Yeah, real estate.
Branded. Wow.
Wow. So you want to move to the KIP district, everybody. But yeah, I love seeing the old footage.
You mentioned that donut shop. I wrote a story for the Star many years later about kind of dying, the last of the donut shops in the city, and there was a country style at Queen and Broadview for many years, and I went and I interviewed the guy who was making the donuts there. He's the guy who made the crullers at the Old Mill Donuts originally.
I love that shit. Like,
I was
hook
shocked.
that to my veins, because you never know who you're talking to and how they're tied to something. And to me, that's a big deal.
It is because I think I mentioned that I mentioned the place, Old Mill Donuts, and I mentioned the crullers, and he was like, "Those are my crullers."
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was cool.
Like, what are the odds, right?
Yeah,
okay, that's the cruller man, right? I got to get that guy on the show.
Cruller man was selling weed and LSD out of the donut shop at Queen and Broadview.
Okay.
So,
see, this is the stuff
he had
you
a
don't...
sideline. He had a sideline business.
You don't hear about that stuff on, like, CBC radio. Like, I feel like that's the kind of Toronto history we need to uncover here.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, thanks for being here, man. All right, so I have a few questions that came in from listeners, but just before I get to these questions, and then I have music. There's new Rheostatics music. I was at your listening party at the Paradise. Amazing. Like, we're going to talk about Kevin Hearn, Gord Downey, everybody who's involved in this project somehow. But am I right? This is the 22nd year of your outdoor hockey tournament on Wolf Island.
We just had it on the weekend.
Well, tell me about that, because I just had Sean Cullen and Banjo Duncan Fremlin.
Yes.
And they were talking about missing hockey, and I didn't know if they were talking about something with you or if it's different hockey, but tell me about this outdoor hockey tournament on Wolf Island.
Yeah, they played with the Jokers, played with them for years. Wolf Island, yeah, I went there to celebrate Baseballissimo, my third book, I guess. There in 2001, and we had a small little literary festival, which is still going on Wolf Island, through my friend Mark Matson. And I remember just standing on the baseball diamond, and I said, "What happens in the winter here?" And he said, "Sometimes I try to make natural ice." And I was like, "Okay, well, let's have a challenge match between the Gas Station Islanders and the Wolf Islanders. It's the Lake Ontario Cup." So we had this challenge match on natural ice for a bunch of years. We actually played on the bay. Sarah Harmer's song "St. Peter's Bay" is about playing out on the ferry dock off of Wolf Island. Yeah, here you are. It's just like when you do anything that you love, but you blink and it's 22 years, right? So, yeah, we had it this weekend. It was minus 16 in the day. It was fucking insane. So cold. But it's like, that tournament is like renewing your Canadian citizenship, really.
Yeah, you got to be a hardy Canadian, which we are, of course. But was Christopher Hugh Brown a part of this?
Yeah, he's, of course. Yeah.
I have to bring up the people I know are like Wolf Island people.
The story with Chris is the first tournament. I called Chris and I said, "Listen, we're playing hockey on Wolf Island. Mm-hmm. You're 8 hours from Brooklyn. Why don't you just drive up?" So he drove up, and when we got to the rink on Saturday morning, the first person on the ice was Chris Brown, and that was the first time he was on the island. And 22 years later, he is now running the Wolf Island Hotel, which is in great shape, I must say. It's coming along. The hotel is beautiful. The bar and the food is great. The stage is great. Yeah, I mean, I think any business on the island struggles with ferry service, which has been a disaster.
Right.
Another Ministry of Transportation fuck up majorly. Jeez. The electric ferries don't run in the cold. So now they've got the old ferries that are going right into the village. Anyways, if you're ever in the area, drop by. It's a great spot.
Sounds amazing. I read a long piece by Gear Joyce about Don Cherry's cottage. I guess he had a cottage there.
Still does, yeah.
Well, no, I think it's gone.
Really?
I think in 2019, around the time, when COVID. Ron McLean talked about the health scare for Don Cherry. Yes. There's a health scare, which maybe Ron regrets talking about. I don't know, but we'll have to ask Ron that question. Right. It's a little private, that info. But Gare was just talking to the residents, like you mentioned the gas station, everything. The residents about, I guess Don Cherry around that time sold his cottage, which there's a thinking that it's not a good place to have a medical emergency.
Right, it's not. No. And that was, listen, the ferries were down completely for 5 days over Christmas, and that was the main concern. If you have to get off that island to be treated and you can't, then you could die. So it's like any kind of island. I mean, we have a lot of them in Canada, and ferry service to and fro, getting to the mainland is super important. Don signed 500 Ducks Unlimited jackets and raised money to put artificial ice into the rink on Wolf Island. That's where we play to this day.
Love to hear it. Now, speaking of hockey, a question came in from some guy named Jeff Merrick. You ever heard of this guy?
Mm-hmm. Sure have.
So Jeff, I'm wearing a Great Lakes Brewery hoodie because Jeff had a very short stint working at Great Lakes Beer, because he's Humberside guy.
Yeah.
And the owner of the show, whose dad actually started Great Lakes, but the owner is a guy named Peter Bullitt, and the head brewer is a guy named Mike Lackey.
Sure is.
And they're Humberside guys who were buds with Merrick. Like, this is the the fraternity or whatever.
Sense, yeah.
So it all all the pieces matter. Okay.
Nice.
So there's three things here. I'll go one at a time. Does Dave have a copy of the group picture taken at the ball hockey record release party for Whale Music?
Ooh, I don't think I do. I mean, I have to go back and look through the archives, but ironically, I do remember that photo being taken, but I don't remember having a copy of it, unfortunately.
Sorry, Jeffy. Okay, but we're moving on to the next one, which is the Bathurst Street Theater were my favorite Rheostatics shows. What are Dave's?
What are my? They would have been. They would have been up there for sure. That would have been our first time playing kind of a legitimate theater out of the club. It would have been our first. Yeah, it would have been our first show out of a club, honestly. And we're going to talk a little bit about Stompin' Tom. He turned 90. He used to come in disguise to those shows at the Bathurst Street Theater, which I only found out after reading his book. Didn't even know he was in the audience. But yeah, those were great. So they would have been up there, and then. Even our first few times playing in New York City and of course, Vancouver, Commodore, incredible. Even some of the arenas we played with the Tragic Hip were great too, and some of the outdoor
Yeah.
shows. But Bathurst Street Theater, totally right up there.
And the final question, which will be a mind blow if you could answer this for poor Jeff Merrick. And where did I lose my Melville T-shirt?
I have one. You know what? I probably have one for him.
Okay,
Okay.
now I want one too.
Okay.
I would wear it for the photos by the Toronto Tree.
I have a bag of old Rio's shirts that I've honestly been meaning to give away.
Honestly,
so we'll have to make that
tell me
happen.
when and where to bike
Okay,
to pick
all
these
right,
up. I want
okay.
a medium Rio shirt.
Okay, well, I don't know if I can guarantee sizes.
No, come on. I demand. I'm going to give you a gift right now because you might be giving me a gift.
You know, we when we did those shirts, we hand painted them in Sally Lee's basement, I think.
Oh.
We all gathered around and did arts and crafts and painted them.
No, I love all of this. And I know you love your Great Lakes beer.
Sure.
I've got some fresh craft beer from the aforementioned Mike Lackey production there with
I mean, those guys
Lakes.
have sponsored helped sponsor the newspaper for 10 years. It's their devotion has been to local journalism has been unparalleled.
pillars of the community.
Indeed.
That's my words, yes. So you got some fresh craft beer here. There's one I'm very excited for you to have, which is this one. Can you read that one right there?
Yeah.
Read that label
It's
there.
got the cocktail glass on
Yeah.
it.
Get
It's
on those
West
readers.
Etobicoke. Yeah, that's awesome.
So I feel like if Dave
Nice.
Bidini is going to visit the basement, he's going to get the West
beautiful.
Etobicoke
Love it.
beverage from Great Lakes Brewery. So thank you, Great Lakes. Also, just arrived, actually. I just received the frozen lasagna from Palma Pasta. It's in
Sweet.
my freezer right now. So you got your pasta from Palma Pasta. Thank you, Palma Pasta. This is a quick plug, and then I'm getting back to the questions.
all
And
good.
then we got music, and then we got to talk Stomp and Tom. We got a lot of ground to cover, actually. But I want to let the listenership know that throughout all of February, this is a great cause. Hospice Mississauga is receiving proceeds from every purchase of heart-shaped pasta from Palma Pasta. So this weekend is Valentine's Day. Now's the time to go to Palma Pasta and buy some heart-shaped pasta and help support Hospice Mississauga. That's a great cause, and I'm just proud of the Palma Pasta guys for supporting this Hearts for Hospice campaign.
Lovely.
Lovely. Ridley Funeral Homes, talking about Etobicoke here. They're at 14th and Lakeshore. They have sent over a measuring tape for you, Mr. Bidini. And I should shout out Brad Jones. We're recording later today. He's got a podcast called Life's Undertaking. It's a great podcast you should listen to. And thank you, Nick Iones, for stepping up to help sponsor the show. Nick Iones has a podcast called Building Toronto Skyline. He's with Fusion Corp, and we love your support. And then last but not least, because it's all Bidini the rest of the way, recyclemyelectronics.ca. That's where you go, Dave, if you have old electronics, old devices, old cables. I bet you got a whole room full of that stuff.
Yeah, we just cleared out the office for West End Phoenix, and I have bags.
I got
and
a question about
bags
that,
of
too.
Stuff. Man, come and get it.
Well, let me just tell you to go to recyclemyelectronics.ca
I'll go.
and then put in your postal code, and then you can find out where to drop it off to be properly recycled. So without further ado, though, fun story. I was, this is a very Toronto story, I think. I was on my way. I was biking to see Change of Heart. I love Ian Blurden, as we all do, on Geary Avenue. And then I took a left on Bartlett Avenue. Are you familiar with this street, Bartlett?
Sure am.
And there at 3 Bartlett Avenue, I see my friend Dave Bidini. But he's with two people, and I go, oh my goodness, that's FOTM Bruce Arthur. Love that guy. Let me chat him up. And there's a face I know, but I'd never met her, Supriya Dwivedi. So I meet Supriya Dwivedi for the first time outside your West End Phoenix at 3 Bartlett Avenue, which I'm about to ask you a big question about. And subsequently, I've had Supriya over a couple of times, and she'll be over more. What a fantastic podcast guest Supriya is.
Yeah, she's brilliant, I think. Yeah, she checks all the boxes. She's
Smart.
wonderful person. Yeah, really great.
Well spoken,
Great writer.
but very not like canned stuff like a lot of people.
Nah,
are phony bones.
she's super cool.
Shoots
really
from the
like
hip.
her a lot. Yeah,
Big fan, and that's
Yep.
why I met her like kind of through you. You
Love
and
it.
Bruce. I think you vouched for me, which
I think so.
You know, I don't know if she accepts all invitations, but
That was
she,
good though.
You know?
You just cycled right up and just started introducing
Well, I saw
yourself. to her. It
Bruce.
was
I
great.
hadn't seen Bruce in a long time.
Yeah. Well, he was in for that for the event that we did last year. He came in.
Yeah, it came in.
From Vancouver,
Even
yeah.
those words,
Yeah.
I don't think anyone knows he doesn't live here anymore.
No.
Like, I feel like even that terminology, like, I didn't know. I thought he was
Right.
why am I not bumping into Bruce anymore? Well,
Yeah.
he's not here anymore.
Yeah.
But just seeing you, and you can spot you a mile away. You got
You were going to the Sound Garage, were you? Is that
Yes,
right? Yeah.
that's right. That was my first concert at the Sound
Nice.
Garage.
Yeah,
It's great. And shout out to Ian Blurden if he's listening at home here. So can you tell us what's going on with 3 Bartlett Avenue, the home of West End Phoenix?
Yeah, our landlord sold the building, so we're looking for a new space, a new office for the newspaper. Place that can also be a performance space, right? So, yeah, now begins the slog of looking at dozens of shitholes before we find the right place. Yeah,
Like, do you have to leave immediately? Like, are you like? Would you guys be
gone.
there this
We're
week?
gone.
Or are you
No,
gone
we're
already?
totally gone. Yeah. So, I mean, good time to leave though. The winter is not super busy. We want to be somewhere by April 1st, March, April 1st. So,
Okay,
yeah.
so the search is on.
It is. It's on. Yeah, we want to stay obviously close to the neighborhood and that sort of thing. But lots of stuff planned, so we need somewhere where we can do our cool things.
So it was. I was going to ask you that anyways. But hazardous on Blue Sky. By the way, Supriya called Blue Sky a home for Twitter refugees, and I think that's
true.
the perfect description
I
for.
know. So it's so relatively civilized there. I like it.
Do you still post on the app formerly known as Twitter?
I maybe once a month, maybe, but that's about it.
So what would it take for you to say I'm done? Like you
with
just,
what?
Just done with posting on Elon Musk's.
I'm pretty much done. It's once a month. I just go there to check my mentions sometimes and see who maybe's messaged me.
Right.
And it's unfortunately it still is the kind of place where if you need to reach out to somebody, X is better than Blue Sky because not everybody has migrated to Blue Sky, but everybody should migrate there.
Everybody should join us Twitter refugees on Blue Sky.
It's much cleaner.
So Hazardous wrote me there and said at Blue Sky and wrote, curious if the West End Phoenix will be getting a new physical location. So we have our answer.
Yeah.
You're looking for a new home for the West End Phoenix, which we'll get to in a minute. Also, he throws in, he wants a prediction of Canada's performance in men's and women's hockey at the Olympics.
Oh, it was a tough afternoon yesterday for our women.
Yeah, outclassed.
Yeah. The Americans have flipped generations, right? They're into their next wave and they're, putting the games in the hands of their, gifted 20-somethings. We haven't done that this time. Bigger brains than me, know why that's the case. But, sometimes, the student bests the teacher, and that's the case, I think, with us. And doesn't look good, but if they could get to the final, to play each other one game elimination, Debonnier stands on her head, and anything's possible. So, but doesn't look good.
Well, that's the interesting thing about the women's hockey is that the worst case scenario feels like a silver. Like it is an interesting. What other sport is there out there where
it's true?
If everything goes to shit, we finish with a silver.
Yeah, for sure. I know.
So my prediction is our Canadian women will probably win a silver.
Okay.
And
Fearless.
How do you think the men are going to do? They start tomorrow.
Yeesh. I don't know. My gut. I feel a bit funky in my gut. So many close games against the States over the last decade and a half, 20 years. You just wonder at what point does it tip a little bit, and does the the just by degrees underdog win? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if the Swedes won gold. It's going to be a tough tournament.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll see. Clearly, Canada's goaltending is a question mark, and clearly their defensive depth is a question mark, and clearly they have the most skilled forwards. And it's going to be a tighter game because it's on a smaller ice surface. But it can't be a physical game. So does that, if that game favors speed, I think it favors the States. Their defense is so fast. And I think really, like Four Nations, a lot of it depended on Hellebuck and their goaltending, and he did not have a great final. Didn't have a great tournament. So we'll see if that can. It's really close. I'm terrible with predictions, but should be fun. Starts tomorrow.
So I'm going to play a very short piece of audio. So I was chatting with Maureen Holloway the other day because I was putting her on Humble and Fred show. She'll pop in once a month, and she shared something with me that I'm now going to share with you. Okay, so the original. This is Maureen pointed this out, and now I have to play it. So this is the CBC Olympic theme. Okay, here it goes. So the Olympic heads have heard that 1,000 times by now, but dun 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 dun. Okay, this is from the very famous Disney movie, The Lion King. You ready?
When he was a young warthog.
When I was a young warthog.
Very
So,
nice.
you're a musician, Dave Bidini. Is that the same melody? Same
Pretty close.
tune? Yeah, pretty close, right? So
Pretty close, but every song is close to another song. It seems.
Okay.
Right.
there's nothing new under the sun.
I mean, it's all the same set of notes. It's just how you put them together. Inevitably, there's going to be the same kind of order and similar composition. So yeah, we I always there's a Blue Jays theme that I think is very similar to one of our songs from Story of Harmelodia, the last song. And I've always wondered whether the people that were putting that together used our song as a placeholder. That happens too. In film, that happens a lot too. You use a song that you can't necessarily clear as placeholders, then you put another song in there that you can clear that is similar into that spot. So we'll never know.
We'll never know. This is my question before I get to skip the DJ. And there is music coming very soon here because I got questions about your new release from the Rheostatics. But I want to know, is it true? I believe this to be true. Is it true the first Rheostatics gig was a Gary's presentation?
1980, yeah. October 1980, October 12th, not 13, 14, 1980 at the Edge. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that story is, do you know that story? I sent, we did a demo cassette, 4 songs that we recorded in Brampton. And I sent it in the post to Gary.
Wait, but Gary Top.
Yeah, Gary Top.
We have to be specific. There's multiple Garys at
And
play.
Cormier and Top, Gary Top. And Gary answered the mail. I don't think Cormier did. But then I was at the New Yorker Theater on Young Street to watch Union City Blues starring Deborah Harry and Let There Be Rock by AC/DC as part of the Festival of Festivals, now known as the Toronto International Film Festival. I was reviewing those films for the Sunshine News, which was a national high school newspaper that I wrote about. Okay. And when I was sitting at the near the popcorn stand there, I was just between films, and Gary Top walked in, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's Gary Top!" And he walked in, and he came over, and he sat in a chair across from me, and he said, "Are you Dave?" And I had no idea how Gary Top would have possibly known who I was. And it turned out that he had called my mom that afternoon after getting our cassette, wanting to book us at the Edge. And she said, "Oh, David," which is what she called me, "is seeing the movies downtown at the New Yorker Theater this afternoon." So Top, living right near there, walked down the street, found me, and then said, "I want to book the Rheostatics." So that was our first show. That's how we got our first
That's
show.
unbelievable.
It was astonishing.
It's I have Rob Pruce in this basement every month, and Rob's first ever gig with the Spoons was a Gary's presentation at the Edge the night that John Lennon was murdered.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Is Rob in town now? Back in town?
He's because he just finished.
How does he come here then?
His mom lives in Burlington.
okay.
So this is actually, he's a sweetheart. He's nice. Like his.
He is the sweetest guy.
Bidini, there you go. That's the Pruce Christmas card I got that's sitting in the theater here. So once a month, Rob Pruce drives to Burlington to visit his mom, and then visits this very basement with Bob Willett from Indie 88, and we do a monthly series called Toast, where we kick out thematic jams, and we've been doing that forever.
Cool.
So yeah, Rob,
Nice.
I'll see him. I think I'll see him next week. Actually,
Say hi
he
for
should be
me,
down.
please.
I
Yeah,
will. I
lovely.
will. Skip the DJ wants to know: is panettone cake or bread?
Well, it's the perfect fusion of the two, right?
Good answer.
Yeah.
You don't want to alienate any side there. Okay. M.W. Bauer says, "Hey, Dave Bidini, will the Blue Jays make the World Series in 2026? What does your crystal ball say, Mr. Bidini?"
It's hard to repeat. It's hard to go back. I mean, obviously, I hope they will, but the odds I think are against them.
You heard it here
Sadly.
first. Okay.
But hey, it's baseball.
Stephen S. I don't think that's Stephen Stanley, but is Stephen Stanley part of your Wolf Island?
He played. He hasn't played with the Morning Stars in a decade, but he played on the weekend. It was great. Number 11.
Okay, so I'm skipping Stephen S. for a moment to go to Scott Lyons, who says, "How are the Morning Stars doing this year?"
Terrible. We're old and we suck. It's,
Who
it's
would I
pure
know on
bliss.
this,
It's pure bliss.
Who would I know that's on the Morning Stars?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Who would you know?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Well, Tim Thompson used to play with us.
I know
right?
Tim
You know
very
Tim?
well.
Yeah. Chris Topping, do you know him?
Yeah.
Chris Topping's on the Morning Stars. I'm trying to think of other. Tom Patterson, who ran the Paddock, is on the Morning Stars.
Okay.
100%.
Because if I don't know them, these are people I should know. Okay.
Lovely
I'm
people.
taking notes over here, Dave. You know that's what we're doing here.
They're my teammates for 30 years, right?
Wow.
These guys. So we have 8 original members of our
Well, Tim
team.
Thompson played with my cousin at University of Guelph.
There you go.
He was a good defenseman, as I recall.
Tim won the last championship ever to be awarded at Maple Leaf Gardens.
See, there you go. Mind blow.
He told me that, and I said, "Did you get any points?" And he was like, "Yeah, I got an assist on the first goal." Of course he did. So it's pretty cool.
It's very cool. So Stephen S., his question was Turk Broda or Harry Lumley?
Apple cheeks all the way.
Who's Apple? I don't know.
Harry and Lumley's.
I got some Harry Lumley catching up to do here.
I mean, I love a portly goaltender. Well, Turk was portly too, but yeah. I mean, I would answer Steve, and I would suggest either Charlie Gardner or Wilf Cute would be the duo that I would have to choose from.
I'm going to tell the listenership now, Dave, that this is your 3rd visit to the TMDS Basement Studio. Your first visit was October 2019.
Woo!
We're going way back there. That's pre-pandemic. That tells you all you need to know. In this 526th episode of Toronto Mic'd, Mike chats with Dave Bidini about Rheostatics, shocker there, Etobicoke, Dave Bookman, the late great, was a very close friend of yours, Gord Downey, we also lost far too soon, the West End Phoenix, radio, and more. So we had a great chat, a good chinwag in October 2019, your A to Z of your career, really. And then September 2022, you came back. That was episode 1110. We talked about Bookie. We talked about the Rheostatics, the West End Phoenix, and the new CBC documentary series, Summit 72.
Oh, yeah.
So another good chinwag. Here's a fun fact for you. You ready?
Yep.
You'll tell me if I'm right or wrong, because you are Dave Bidini. You're the only Canadian to have been nominated for all 3 of Canada's main entertainment awards. That would be the Gemini Award for television. Now you can't anymore because these are all combined. But the Gemini Award for television, the Genie Awards for film work, and the Junos for music. But you've also been nominated on Canada's National Book Awards program, Canada Reads. Do you believe that? Could that be true? You're the only person to get a Gemini, Genie, and a Juno Award nomination.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
I don't have the hard data.
Well, I think it's true.
Yeah, I think it's true. Lost every time. Well, that's not true. Didn't win a Juno, but the other ones we did.
How many Juno nominations did you get?
Oh, I don't know. Only 2, I think. Okay. Yeah.
Because my guest yesterday, Amoy, wonderful reggae
9.
singer.
She's got 9, right?
This
Too
is
many.
No, she's on her 8th.
Too many. She should really share the wealth.
She's the Susan Lucci of Canadian music. And one more fun fact here, and then I'm going to play a song. This is so I know you don't control your Wikipedia page. Third parties maintain this, but I'm actually putting this out to Rosie Gray T.O. We have a devout listener who is an active editor on Wikipedia. Here's what's happening, because I was on your Wikipedia page yesterday. Your Wikipedia page links to davebidini.ca.
Which is, somebody bought that, and now it's a weird environmental...
Yeah, it belongs... I got a quote. An environmental blogger bringing you environmental information and insightful posts on the environment, pollution, energy, recycling, climate change, and even more. And even though that sounds like it could be our very own Rheostatics, Dave Bidini, that is not you.
No. Yeah, I did an interview with somebody in Western Michigan, and he was like, I promise we're going to get to green energy.
Yeah.
We're going to get to it.
I can see that.
And I was like... So he asked me a particular question about some green energy issue, and I was like, I'm not really into... And he told me about that website, which I'd been to once a long time ago, and then just kind of forgot about it. Not too good with websites. Apparently.
Well, it's not your site, Wikipedia. That's the whole idea, right? So you do need a good editor, a smart editor.
Get in there. If your friend could
Rosie
do
Gray
it.
T.O.
Rosie, love it. Thank you.
We're going to get that cleaned up. And Rosie Gray T.O. named after a great Lowest of the Low song, so shout out to the aforementioned Stephen Stanley.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
That is that's the first real track on our new record, but that's also the first thing we recorded when we were together.
Who's we?
That's Hugh Marsh on violin, Tim Vesley on bass, Don Kerr, Dave Clark on drums, Kevin Hearn on keyboards, Alex Lifeson on guitar, and me on guitar.
How did Alex Lifeson? We're going to talk about a few specific people. Let me just set the table by saying the Great Lakes Suite is the 13th album by the Rheostatics, your Rheostatics, and it came out in November of 2025 on Cordova Bay Records. I had a email exchange with maybe it was Blair. Somebody maybe wrote. I don't know if it was me directly, but somebody in the TMU, the Toronto Mike universe, reached out to Dave Clark about coming on Toronto Mike, and he seemed very maybe about it. Like it was. Would you think Dave Clark would be a good Toronto Mike guest?
Oh, he'd be great. I can totally put a word in if you'd like.
Put in a word. The response was such that I just basically moved on.
Sure.
Like it was, you either jump at this when the lure's dropped. Supriya jumped at it when the lure was dropped, and Dave Clark did not. But a couple of names I want to ask you about. How did you get involved with Alex Lifeson?
Well, we were always pretty close to that camp, that community.
The Rush community?
Yeah, because of our friendship with Neil Peart, who was on Whale Music and we were friends. And Getty, of course, as well, being a friend of ours and working with him and being. They're both great guys, and Alex was kind of the last person that we really sort of became close with. But I asked Alex in our first year of West End Phoenix if he wanted to work on a comic based on his musical experiences, and so we paired him with Casey McGlynn, the great illustrator, painter, and they contributed I think 6 or 7, 8 comics to that first year. So got to know Alex. And then I think it was the first or second year we were doing a benefit for West End Phoenix. And Alex, we invited him to come with the band. And we had this great moment when we were rehearsing in a rehearsal space on College Street. He took out a black Les Paul guitar from his guitar case and vintage, 50s or 60s, I can't remember, but maybe early 60s. And I asked if there was a story behind that guitar. And of course there was a story behind that guitar. It was the guitar that Robbie Robertson played on the first band album that had just come for sale. So he bought it. So we proceeded to play a version of Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. And it was wonderful having him play Robbie's guitar while we played Gord's song together. And so we started to make music together. And then but that was always once every couple of years. It was never really a big deal. And when it came time to think about doing this record, he's the first person that I reached out to. And he said that it was just that week he was thinking to himself, I just can't play golf for the rest of my life. So
yeah, he golfs a lot.
Yeah. So he
did Envy of None, right? Like and David Quentin
they were working on
that.
that. Yeah, they were working on Dave. He's the best. He's the best.
He plays at the Jitters now.
He's the best. Dave.
I think I mentioned Blair Pack.
Dave's parents went to Harbor Collegiate with my dad. Wow. Yeah, they knew each other. It's incredible.
You still can't get Getty on Toronto Mike, so I don't know what he's worth there.
They're busy. He's so busy. I see what those guys have to go through to go on tour, and man, they work hard. But I asked Al, so he said yes. So he said he was interested. I laid out the whole idea. It's going to be improvisational, abstract kind of musical experiment, and he was like, yeah, let's try that. And then once he kind of decided he would do it, everybody wanted to do it. We had a rehearsal at the Rat Space on DuPont just to sort of try, because you never know. You get a bunch of musicians together, you never know if the chemistry is going to kind of work out.
Sure.
And we played for 4 hours, realized nobody had taped it, and then thought, well, let's just go in the studio and do it. So we recorded about 20 hours of music, and then it was pieced together for this record.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough to be at that listener party, the release party at the Paradise. I think I had an Octopus Wants to Fight that night with my buddy, the VP of Sales.
Nice.
Always a good time. Good
Who was that?
You. Tyler Campbell.
Okay, great.
Yeah, who also had at a West End Phoenix event had a pretty good conversation with Sarah Harmer, or was it Sarah's sister? Like Was it Sarah Harmer? Yeah, I wasn't there.
Yeah,
so-
Sarah and Georgia played at
Okay.
our one of our.
But bottom line is, Sarah, all gung ho to come on somehow, but this never appeared. I'm here to complain to you, David. You're here so I can complain about all your friends who have not yet accepted the invitation to visit. So I have a lengthy list of grievances.
Sarah's she's a bit hard to get a hold of. Yeah.
I would just love it so much.
She's busy too. So, anyways,
Well, we're all busy, Dave.
I know. I'll put a word in free.
We're all busy. Come on, we got to work together.
Yeah, you should have her, Dave and Sarah together. Then you get them both at the same time.
Couple of quick Alex Lifeson hits here. One is I saw him play. He was like a cameo appearance at when Tom Cochrane opened for the Who.
Yep, that's right.
And that was very cool.
Yep.
But also, I'm at 2:00 today. So we're talking at 10:40 a.m. At 2:00 today, I'm talking to Gordie Johnson.
Okay.
And he bought a double neck guitar. Oh no, he didn't buy it. Sorry, it was given to him. I got to be clear here. Alex Lifeson gave Gordie Johnson this Gibson, and I don't know what this means. I'm going to read it to you. It's like if a gearhead talks about cars, they don't know what they're talking about.
I don't know much about guitars either. So
okay, so I'll say it because I read it. I could be reading this wrong. Gibson EDS 1275 double neck. This is the guitar that Alex Lifeson gave Gordie Johnson. So if you ever see Gordie with that double neck guitar, apparently that was a gift from Alex Lifeson from Rush.
Well, I mean, Alex is super generous. He donated 3 effects units to West End Phoenix to auction off, and we did, and all that stuff really helps keep us healthy. And anyways, they're all super generous. They come as advertised. Just all the things you hear about them being excellent people are true.
Remember earlier I said to you, Rob Pruce might be the nicest guy in the world.
He's pretty close. Pretty close.
But I'm here to tell you that I just realized Kevin Hearn is the nicest guy in the world.
Is he?
Maybe you know him better than I do, and you'll tell me, Mike, you got him all wrong. In my experience, limited experience of Kevin Hearn, he seems to be a genuine
Kevin is a
sweetheart.
beautiful guy, but he's also, deadly serious when it comes to his craft, when it comes to his performance, when it comes to his, just making sure that his vision of what he wants to do creatively is realized. He's beautiful.
So there's a little sandpaper there when it comes to his
everybody
art.
has sandpaper, and that's one of the great things about when you work closely with people who are whose work you admire. There has to be kind of sandpaper. There has to be that relationship has to have a certain kind of depth that includes every element of a person's personality, right? So I do think in Canadian music in general, because the scene is so small, relatively small, if you're an asshole, like you know what I mean? You just don't get involved.
But enough about boot sauce.
Okay. I don't know them. Are they dicks?
Yeah, well, talk to Art Bergman and Lois to the Low and get some and Brother Bill, get some stories.
Poor Art.
Yeah.
I felt he was so great. He came to our West End Phoenix space and we did an interview with him. Yeah. But one of the reasons I'm glad we're moving, because our washroom was a disaster, and there were stairs going down to the washroom without a railing, and I thought to myself, "Oh my God, are we going to kill Art Bergman?"
Yeah, you get it. Yeah.
So I went and I kind of made sure he was okay, and then on the way up, I was like, "Art, do you need a hand?" And he was like, "Fuck you," and he got up the stairs himself. But I love Art.
I say Art's
him.
underappreciated in this market, because I saw him at the Horseshoe. And I saw him like right after. Then I saw Junk House like maybe the next week or something. And Junk House, it was full, it was jammed. Yeah. But I felt like Art, there was some room to breathe there.
It's weird because Art lived here for the longest time.
Maybe just hasn't nurtured the fan base here or something like that.
I mean, I think he's a national treasure, but he's a West Coast legend for sure.
Right. Yeah. Literally called the Young Canadians.
That's right.
Let's go to fucking Hawaii.
So good.
Okay. So because I was going to point out with Kevin Hearn that he was there for Lou Reed, the legend in Lou Reed's, at the end of his life. And he was there for somebody else. But before we say who he was there for, I'm going to play a song. And this is from the new Rheostatics album, The Great Lakes Suite. And I have questions about this. As you can imagine, here we go.
wandered down to the water's edge. I looked out. It was endless, all blue and gray and purple and pink. Waves sparkly on top and darker on the bottom. It was Lake Ontario. I stepped into the water. It was clear and shallow and really warm. The flat rocks were entirely emerald green, carpeted in seaweed, gently swaying with the waves. It was so soft on my feet. I wandered out a little further. There were many kids around me, splashing and chasing and yelling. And I thought, in the water, you're alone. And I wasn't a great swimmer. I saw a seagull floating in the water a little away from me, and I splashed at it. And it just looked at me. I moved closer, and it still didn't fly away. And I was about to say hello when the bottom fell away. It was the drop-off, and I'd always heard about it, and I'd always been warned about it, and now I was past it, and I didn't know what was supposed to happen next. And the water closed over me, and I wasn't sinking, but as hard as I tried, I couldn't get back to the surface. I just sort of hung there. It was just quiet. The water was colder out there. It was different shades of green and shot through with silver shafts of sunlight. I could still hear the kids splashing, chasing, yelling, but now they were really far away. I guess I was drowning. But then I saw a fuzzy flash of white close by, a thigh. I shot my arm toward it and missed, and now I was sinking. I lunged again, and my finger just hooked the string of a bright blue bikini bottom. And I could hear a muffled shriek from above, the sound someone makes when something unseen or from the dark bites them. An arm plunged down, grabbed me by the hair, and pulled me up, blinking, gasping to the surface. It was Charlene, my sister. She was mad, and maybe a little afraid. I told Mom, she said, I told her you shouldn't come to the lake.
Dave Bidini. So there's you, there's Kevin Hearn, there's Alex Lifeson, Dave Clark, Tim Vesley, you got Hugh Marsh, and Gord fucking Downey. Where did that audio come from of Gord?
That's from a Lake Ontario Waterkeeper event that was their annual gala. That was at the CBC. Gord. I heard him deliver that live, and always kind of stayed with me. And I talked to Mark.
Well, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I know. It was. We were really grateful to be able to play with Gord posthumously in the studio, and ran that a lot. You know, spent an afternoon just like trying lots of different musical ideas around it, and settle on that one. And when we played at the TD Music Hall, our second night of our Great Lakes Suite shows, Kevin brilliantly paused that story halfway through, and then we set off into this incredible jam with Hugh and Alex leading it. That when we performed that song, it lasted about a half an hour, that version, because Kevin brought the story back in once the jam had sort of ebbed, and it was one of the great musical experiences of my life.
Well, it sounded amazing, and when I was at the whatever that was, the
listening party.
It was a listening party. Come on, Mike, wake up here. But it's just hearing Gord and those great lyrics and the music behind it. And again, we did tease it a little bit, but when you see Peter Mansbridge speaking with Gord Downey, remember when Gord had to write Peter Mansbridge's name on his hand or whatnot? That's in Kevin Hearn's living room. And there's a special episode of Toronto Mike where I talked to Kevin about being there for Gord and Gord's final weeks, final months and everything. And it's just beautiful to hear, Kevin and you guys playing with Gord again. It's hauntingly beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
The Drop Off is the name of that song, by the way, when you're picking up the Great Lakes Suite. The Drop Off there. Is there any involvement in this new album from Martin Tielli?
Oh, Martin. No, not on this record. Not this time. But we're hoping that.
Do we know how he's doing? Or is that too personal?
Well, no, I don't. No, I don't. We don't kind of really know. But he's working on music, and at his own pace, in his own space, in his own time. So Martin works really slow. He's really slow and really deliberate, and frankly, inefficient, if I can say that, having been in a band with him for a long time.
You can say that.
But when it does see the light of day, it'll be great. So yeah, we just our dialogue is still really,
and it's not for lack of trying on your part. He was invited.
Yeah, for sure. And then listen, there's at times people just kind of don't feel the project, and that's fine too.
That's fine too.
And he actually said, listen, ask Lifeson to do it. Just ask Alex to do it. And I was like, well, I'm not going to ask. But he was right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Do you remember a Canadian television show called Power Play? Does that ring a bell at all?
That's right. I do. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay. I think Quarantine wrote a little bit on Power Play.
Possibly. But do you remember at all the opening theme to this show?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to play it now.
Okay.
And you're going to know the first voice, and I'm going to tell you before, because it's an original song that bleeds into a cover, but the cover is by one of my favorite bands, Rusty. Is there any Rheostatics Rusty entanglements that I could know?
No, I think no, you're good. I think we played a couple together a couple times. It was fine. Well, I think Mitchell Perkins, I believe, was the drummer in Rusty. I went to high school with Mitch. Oh. He was in the progressive rock band at our high school, and we were in the new wave band. But it was Mitchell playing a Steve Howe guitar solo on a Yes live album that made me go home and write Dope Fiends and Booze Hounds. Yep. So I owe a lot.
Which I think is Jeff Merrick's favorite song of all time.
Yeah, it's lovely.
And when he came over, which now I think about, that was episode 74.
Whoa.
So we're going back. I don't know.
Has he not been back?
He moved to Stouffville or something. I know.
I know.
So he has not been back, but it's not for lack of trying on my part. And on that note, I think I slagged Harmer, but I didn't really slag Harmer, but I do have a note on the live stream from the aforementioned VP of Sales, Tyler Campbell, who says, he writes, okay, well, we're having a debate here live while I'm trying to talk to the legend that is Dave Bidini, but he says, I think it was in your court to get back to Sarah's management, but she was into it. And then I remember that, and I remember actually doing my due diligence via email to book this, and it dying on the Harmer vine, if you will. So now VP's come around that he thinks maybe I hit a dead end, but all this is to say, eventually, if I do this long enough, eventually Sarah Harmer will make her Toronto Mike debut. That's what's going to happen here. So
pulling for you.
Yeah. So why am I mentioning Power Play here? So I want to talk to you about somebody, and here we go with the opening theme to Power Play.
Hello out there, we're on the air. It's hockey night tonight. Tension grows, the whistle blows, and the puck goes down the ice. The goalie jumps and the players bump, and the fans all go insane. Someone roars, Bobby scores at the good old hockey game.
Oh, the good old hockey game. It's the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game. With a final flick of a hockey stick and one gigantic scream. The puck is in, the hometown wins, it's a good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game. It's the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is a good old hockey game.
What do you think of Rusty's cover there?
It's great.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Good, because multiple members of Rusty are listening to you right now.
Oh,
I'm
lovely.
glad you like it. So.
Oh, no, for sure. It's awesome.
Can you share a little bit? So you mentioned the heavenly birthday for Stompin' Tom Connors. He turned 90 the other day.
They call that the heavenly birthday? The
yeah,
90th?
that's what well, no, they don't call it the 90th. They call it when you have a birthday, but you're no longer with us.
Okay.
Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home. That's like a heavenly birthday. So,
Okay.
So I mentioned Banjo Duncan Fremlin and Sean Cullen were here because, well, you know about Whiskey Jack, and they're, I see a Whiskey Jack album here, keeping the legend alive, the spirit of Stompin' Tom. But when you talk to Banjo Dunk about Stompin' Tom, you get that's his version of his experience of Stompin' Tom. But I am very curious about the Stompin' Tom Connors you knew in your personal experience with the man. What can you share with us, Mr. Bidini?
I went to Ireland in 1985 to Trinity College, Dublin, on an Anglo-Irish studies exchange that was facilitated or encouraged by John Doyle, who was my TA at the time, who was the television critic for the
he
Globe
came
and
here
Mail
a couple of months ago.
Yeah, he was my mentor, really. I'd never met anybody like John. And I never met anybody from Ireland before, and I really liked him, and he was like, you should go to Ireland. I was like, okay. So he told me about this program that they had at Trinity College. So when I went over there, my friend Howard Druckman, you should also have on this show.
Absolutely.
He made me a tape. On one side was the band, and the other side was Stompin' Tom, and I didn't really know Stompin' Tom. And so when kids would come to my flat in Ireland and ask me about Canada, I would say, I don't know, just put the tape on, because everything on that tape basically kind of explains its geography of Canada and the history of Canada, and
right,
that sort of thing. They were like, cool. So when I came back to Toronto, I was like, I wonder what's up with this Stompin' Tom guy. And I had talked to the people at Nerve Magazine and said I wanted to write a story about Stompin' Tom. Fine. So I ended up hanging out at his record company office, Boot Records, in Mississauga. And I wanted to talk to Yuri Krydak, who was who ran the label, and just find out about Tom, who wasn't around. He wasn't part of the...
He had retired.
He went in self-imposed exile. That's part of the story. Tom wanted to get booked at the CNE, and instead of giving him a main stage show, they booked him at the Bandshell during Maritimes Day. He was put out because all of the main slots were given to American performers. So he had a press conference where he brought all of his Juno's box in a cardboard box, and he gave back his Juno awards, and he said he was going to withdraw from public life for a year to not capitalize for this not to be seen as a publicity stunt. And while he was away for his year, he just decided to stay in self-imposed exile. That was the case when I was at Boot Records. At my third time there, the secretary held up a letter that was addressed to Richard Hatfield, who was the Premier of New Brunswick, inviting him to celebrate Stompin' Tom's 50th birthday in Balnafad, Ontario, at this small community hall. She held up the paper for me so I could write down the address. So me, Tim Vesely, and Judy Perry got in our car on February 9th, 1986, and we drove to Balnafad, Ontario, and we pulled up to this community hall, and we could hear some music inside, and there was a guy outside having a dart on the landing, and we said, is Stompin' Tom here? And he said, I'll go get him.
Wow.
So he went inside and he got Tom, and Tom came out. And I had a petition in my back pocket that I'd circulated at Larry's Hideaway the week before. Tom Connors, come back, the country needs you. And I also had a cassette tape of some early Rio stuff that I was going to give him. So Tom came out, and I gave him the whole spiel. I said, listen, the kind of stuff that you sing about and the kind of music that you make, it's important for our country to have this. We need it right now. And it was also post-free trade. There was a lot of, worrying about, encroaching American popular cultural colonialism, as we always do. And he said, where'd you come from? We said, we came from Toronto. And he said, Toronto! You come all the way from Toronto, you might as well come in and have a few drinks. So he brought us down into the basement of this community hall where they were celebrating his 50th birthday party. Bud the Spud was there. Richard Hatfield was there. All of his friends were there. All of his band from all across the years were there. And we talked to him, and I went home and I wrote this story. And I sent it to him. He framed it, put it on his wall, and then he came out of exile, and he returned to play with that comeback show at the Matador. So, and we, when he was programming his memorial at the hockey rink in Peterborough, he asked Lena, his wife, to ask me if I would perform. So I was backstage getting ready to play at, this sold out Memorial Arena during Tom's wake, basically during his memorial. And Mike Plume, the songwriter, said, "Tom's here." And I said, "Yeah, for sure. He's here in spirit and his soul." And he said, "No, you don't understand. Tom's here." And he took me out of the dressing room. He pointed to the Zamboni Bay, and a hearse was pulling into the Zamboni Bay, and a coffin was wheeled out of the Zamboni Bay and wheeled on stage, because one of Tom's last wishes was to be on stage while his favorite musicians played his songs.
Wow, I'm processing all of this. This is amazing. So what I was unsure of was your role in sparking the flame, the comeback of Stompin' Tom. And again, listeners, I really highly recommend you listen to the Banjo Dunk Sean Cullen episode as a companion to this one, because as I shared with them at the time, and I'm going to play a little bit of the song that actually sparked it all. I was born in 1974, so you get a few years on me, but so I'm growing up listening to lots of music. I honestly don't know Stompin' Tom Connors. I don't know him. I don't see him. You mentioned the self-imposed exile. Okay, that sort of coincides with me becoming aware of music. I'm listening to Corey Hart, Platinum Blonde, who knows, right? But I'm a big Much Music fan. And all of a sudden, seemingly out of nowhere, I'm going to play a little bit of this.
Have you heard the news in Newfoundland, rolling around the rock? How Reggie brought for Margie home a cowsy dungsy clock. With Margie being a farm girl, she almost took a fit to find the cowsy dungsy clock was really made of it. The clock was from Toronto, and her mind was soon made up. She said to Reggie, "Get the cow and load her on the truck. We're heading for Ontario, and we're off to make her big. 'Cause Margot's got the cargo by, and Reggie's got the rig. Reggie's got the rig. Reggie's got the rig. Margot's got the cargo by, and Reggie's got the rig."
So I don't know what I am, 14, 15 years old or whatever, and I'm like, literally, Stompin' Tom is suddenly like a Much Music hitmaker, and to me, it's like a new artist, and I distinctly remember loving it. I'm like, where did this guy come from? Like, I had to ask, like, my uncle, like had to explain to me, like, the history that, oh, this is Stompin' Tom Connors, this is who he was, but so for me, I was trying to piece together, like, this comeback, because he did have a massive resurgence, and I want to say the late 80s. I don't know if that timeline works, but I just feel like
we met him in 86 for the first time. I think with me and Tom, he just was able to see that he was, valued and recognized by somebody who was, in their 20s, right?
Yeah, the new generation.
That was exactly. And then Dave McMillan, who worked for EMI, was the first person to get the good old hockey game into hockey rinks. Ottawa Senators played it for the first time, and his boss was Dean Cameron, and Dean signed Tom to that. But yeah, anyway, so I mean, it takes a bunch of people to make that happen, but it was great to be able to, like, I wouldn't say, was I close to Tom? I mean, not really. But I think he, compelled me to find my direction musically, and it was with the Rios, right? And it was beautiful to be able to give something back to him.
And much like Stompin' Tom Connors, your Rheostatics music was unabashedly Canadian, which people like me really appreciated. I still gravitate towards unabashedly, no shame in being from this great country.
Well, occasionally there's shame, but
that's true.
But that's okay. That's part of living in a land,
That's true.
And but yeah,
but there's no shame in being from here.
Well, and that was
you can look at the missteps and the problems, look them in the eyes and confront them.
It was big in Ireland for me too, like going to a place where like nationhood was like just part of the everyday conversation, right? And the Irish, through art, have such a very clear idea of who they are, and there's no reason that Canadian artists can't lead the way in terms of our country's realization of self. So
I did not know your connection to John Doyle, who I want to say that was December. He made his Toronto Mike debut in the basement here, and it was just a tremendous episode. Like one of the most delightful chats about everything at the Globe, but also a lot about soccer. He's a huge soccer fan, like yourself. And
I was really close to John's parents. They when I went to Ireland for the first time, I stayed with them. And they're wonderful, wonderful people, among the best that I've ever known. And I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today, or wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for John.
Wow. Well, you never know who's connected to you. Small world here. And then I found out John Doyle has a great interest in theater and writing for theater. Yep. And he had just had a conversation with a now retired theater producer named Joel Greenberg. And it just so happens I produced Joel Greenberg's podcast, which I found out later John Doyle's a big fan of. And we just batch recorded episodes from season 4. And they're all queued up and going to drop soon. But shout out to Life in Stages by Joel Greenberg.
What's that about, that podcast?
So he talks to the unsung heroes of Canada's theater industry.
Nice.
The people the name. Maybe if you're a theater head, you know these people. But
Tony Napo just played his one of his first games in many years with the Morning Stars a couple of years ago.
Can we talk about Napo just for a moment here? Because I'm dear friends with, I'm looking at him now, Stu Stone. From there he is of Jamie Kennedy, but Stu Stone makes movies with his brother-in-law Adam Rodness, and they're called 5-7 Films, I think is the name of that company. But every movie Stu makes has a role for Tony Napo, and I've got to meet Tony through Stu. I like this guy very much. He posted a picture of a guy named David Storch. He posted this photo on Instagram yesterday. I'm like, that man, David Storch, was just in my basement talking to Joel Greenberg.
When we were on Janet, my wife and I were walking on Bloor Street several years ago, and a guy came out of a shop, naked from the waist up, and started to do like gorilla arms, howling.
Right.
And Janet grabbed my arm and said, "Don't engage," because she just thought it was a guy tweaking, but it was Tony.
Tony Napo
working on a role.
Love Tony Napo, and this is one of the guests who came by. I'm just gonna play it because it ties into a Canadian band I quite like. But here we go. Ready?
When there's nothing left to burn, you listen to Toronto Mike.
So that's Son of. So that's Torque's brother, Ben Campbell, imitating his father, who appears on that, maybe the greatest Star song ever recorded, Your Ex-Lover Is Dead.
Who's their father?
Torque will, he is a Campbell, and his first name is eluding me as I talk to you. He was a legendary Canadian theater and film actor, who I'm going to have to Google his name. His son, Ben Campbell, followed in his footsteps as a theater performer, and Ben came over. So Ben's sitting here talking to Joel, and I'm just producing, so I'm muted the whole time. But after we record, I go, would you mimic your dad off the top of Ben? And I had Ben record that here.
It's kind of got a Mr. French thing going on there a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. What the heck is Campbell's Doug or David? I got to Google this one. But here's what I'll do. I'll set you up with this because on our way out here, I'm dealing with the fact my boomer mother is getting misinformation from Facebook. Have you heard this before? Stop me if you heard this before.
Oh my God.
We're living in a world where there's no checks and balances and no rules. So you could, and this is not stuff you subscribe to, right? It's pushed to you on Facebook, something completely made up. I see this myself all the time, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, I just saw one that came up the other day, and it said, Dave Steeb finally got the call. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, he's not on the ballot. He didn't receive any call from Cooperstown. But this article was quotes from Dave Steeb. So excited, he's finally going to Cooperstown, right?
Well, I sent Sarah Pauly a note a couple of months ago saying congratulations on doing the Sittler doc, and she said, "I have no idea what you're talking about."
You got that pushed to you on Facebook,
and I said, "Well, it says that you're making a film about a documentary about Sittler," and she was like, "That would be great, but I'm not." And yeah. So, but listen, we live in nefarious times. Heads up now, too, folks, in terms of disinformation, because there is disunity being sown in our country through bad actors funneling millions of dollars into Alberta separatism.
Right.
So that's something to really kind of be aware of. as it kind of comes across your feed. But listen, get off social media, read a newspaper, right?
Well, this is just it, though. Get off social media. Don't trust anything you get on social media. Go corroborate it with a decent source. But I just, on our way out here, we're wrapping up here. We're
and
done.
Blue Sky, again, you mentioned Blue Sky earlier. It's so much healthier in terms of you staying connected.
Follow Dave and I on Blue Sky, everybody. By the way, the name of the actor, I'm embarrassed to say, but it was Douglas Campbell.
Okay.
And he passed away in 2009.
That's not a very Canadian name, eh? Douglas Campbell.
I think he's born in Scotland, actually,
Yep.
but
Well,
definitely
there
a Canadian-based
you go.
chap. But on our way out, I want to just talk a minute or so on
Yep.
our way out here on West End Phoenix, because I'm wondering, so I wanted to share with you that between AI and the flat-out lies that are presented as truths on social media, I do feel like it's more important than ever to check your sources and ensure that there's some kind of journalistic standards at play.
Yep.
And in that vein, I thought maybe I could ask you, is there somewhere you can read the West End Phoenix journalistic standards? Like, so is there some kind of a rule set before anything goes to print in the West End Phoenix?
I mean, no, there isn't anything online that you can read. But all of the ethics and journalism ethics and standards are ones that we abide by. We obviously check all of our sources, record all of our sources, and we do intense fact checking, copy editing. We have some of the greatest editors in the country working for us, yeah.
I know this to be true, of course, and West End Phoenix.
Yeah.
I'm hoping you'll tell everybody how they can support it in a moment. But I do think it'd be wise
That's
maybe to
interesting.
have a page online where you you spell it out. This is why you can trust what you read in our newspaper.
I mean, I would like to think that the work kind of communicates that anyways, but you're right. It wouldn't be a bad idea. We've got, I'm really trying to get, I'm close to getting Carl Bernstein to come in.
Wow.
To talk to do an event, especially in light of what's happening at the Washington Post.
Right.
He's been a fan of the paper for a long time, so we're going to try to get him up this spring sometime, potentially. We have our 10th anniversary show on September 25th. We're taking it indoors to the Palais Royale. And
I bike by it every day, but
Ron McLean's, it's great. Ron's going to host again, and we're going to do the story of Canada in 22 songs, I think is the idea.
I love that idea. Shout out to Glenn Gould.
Yeah, so, and our new issue comes out in 2 weeks, and I have a special code for people who want to subscribe with a discount, and that's thanks20. So go to westendphoenix.com and sign on. That's how we pay all of our contributors through our subscribers.
Well, I love what you're doing with West End Phoenix. I look forward to your whenever you do the opening of the new whenever you find your new home.
For sure.
I want to be at that opening.
100%.
Even if it's just so I could chat up Sarah Harmer and say, what the heck's going on here? Just kidding. But I got to say, I love what you're doing. I love the new music from I love the Great Lakes Suite. I love there's at least last summer I did dip my toe in at least 2 of the Great Lakes.
Nice.
Shout out to Lake Ontario and Lake Huron.
Beauty.
Yeah, that's 2. Love the music from the Rheostatics. Love what you're doing for the community. Quick hit here because I'm playing the closing theme already. Shout out to Lois Low. Although it's a cover by Rob Bruce. That's what we're listening to, Rosie and Gray. But are you willing to share that anything regarding the Toronto Maple Leafs baseball team? Because you mentioned the community and everything, and how is there anything you're willing to put on the public record regarding you and that baseball team?
Yeah, we tried to buy it. And lost to your buddy, so that's not good. But we continue talking with Canadian baseball. It's CBL now, right?
Yeah, they just rebranded CBL. This just happened. Yeah,
I think something's going to happen. But we just got to figure. We don't know what it is. But listen, I would in my dotage, I would love to be part of.
The chap who bought that team is very distracted right now because he's launching a women's professional baseball league.
Listen, if he wants to sell it to us. It was myself, Mike Veck, Tom Whaley, and Bill Murray who wanted to buy that team. And maybe it'll still happen because they know their baseball and they're so good at what they do.
If I can play a role as a linchpin of sorts, a connector,
Yes.
I love Dave Bidini and I love Keith Stein, so I think I'm the perfect
Let's make it happen.
person to see what I could do there. But thanks for making the trek back to Etobicoke. This was a fantastic chat, buddy.
Always so fun. Thank you so much.
Won't be your last visit. Maybe you'll come on with Jeff Merrick next time.
I would love that.
I'm
we
gonna
go
see
way
if I
back.
can do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love that guy. Okay.
I'm going to make that happen. And that brings us to the end of our 1,847th show. Go to torontomike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs and subscribe to the West End Phoenix. It's good for the soul, it's good for the community, and it's good for your brain. And stop getting your news from Facebook. I'm talking to you, Mom. Much love to all who made this possible. Again, that's Great Lakes Brewery. They support West End Phoenix and Toronto Mike, so they're good people. You got your beer. Palma Pasta. I have the lasagna for you, Dave.
Love
Nick
it.
Ianni's.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're going to love it. I know you've had it before,
That's
right?
great.
Nick Ianni's, he's great. He stepped up to help fuel the real talk over here.
Beautiful.
RecycleMyElectronics.ca. They signed up for the entire year. I can't tell you how valuable that is for a very... You think you're small at the West End Phoenix?
I never said that.
If you're not small, you're nimble. No, you're mighty. You're not small at the West End Phoenix.
Exactly. You can be small and mighty.
Yeah, that's what I am. Okay. I want to shout out Ridley Funeral Home at 5 p.m. today. Brad Jones will waltz by and we'll record a new episode of Life's Undertaking. He just returned from Asia. We'll talk about it. See you all then. But my next guest on Toronto Mike. Come on, Mike. Who is it? I know I'm talking to Gord Johnson, but the next guest is actually Simone Denny. Simone Denny, do you remember Chris Shepard had the projects like Love Inc. in
No.
BKS? Do you know where Chris Shepard is?
No.
Simone Denny, 1 o'clock p.m. tomorrow, just as the Canada hockey game is concluding. Oh no. Okay. See you all then.